Hi there and welcome back to the channel. This time we are talking along this tent pitch in the garden. I have no script, I'm just talking along as we go. And here we are pitching the Marmot Limelight 3-person tent, which I have not used since September or October last year. I'm checking if the tent is in good condition and if I really dried it as good as I thought, and I couldn't find any stains on the tent, so it seems like it's okay. Now I am laying out the footprint of the tent, and I am doing a little. I should have done this a little different, because what I'm doing next is that right now I'm just checking the camera if I have the tent in frame. But what I'm doing wrong here is that I am pulling out the tent poles and sticking them into the holes of the footprint before I even get to take out the inner tent. The case here is that if you lay out the inner tent and align it with the footprint, you will see that there are 4 holes, one in each corner, that aligns up, and there is where you're going to put the poles through both of the holes at the same time. So now it's getting a little fickly, because pitching a dome tent on your own isn't the easiest one to begin with. Like a tunnel tent, which you can stick in 3 of the poles while it's laying flat on the ground, and you can put 1 peg into the grass and just drag it up. Okay, so now I'm fickling around to fasten the poles into the corners, and you can see I'm being very careful not to slip out of the hole, which I am doing anyway. Yeah, there you can see the poles straight up into the air, but luckily enough I managed to put one of the diagonals, and here we have the whole structure built up, and we are ready to get in the inner tent. Well, now I'm trying to figure out which direction this inner tent is going, and I have made it a little difficult for myself, because I have to crawl under the structure of the tent while fastening the inner tent, which makes it a little difficult. And here you can see I'm dragging one of the corners unintendedly and almost tripping in the tent. If I had tripped in the tent, I could fall over the poles and break them. If you are doing that in field, you could be in deep shit, but luckily enough this didn't happen here, and that's the pros of practicing at home. So probably you could sort out these errors and don't do them in field. So now I've hung up the midsection of the inner tent and trying to rotate it to the right direction, and now I'm finding a red label on the footprint which matches up with a red label on the inner tent. So now we can just work our way around the tent, and as you can see I have to lift out the poles of the hole in the footprint just to put it in another time in both holes. Okay, so maybe it's a little boring to watch a guy pitch a tent in the garden, but I like it myself, and since we're seeing this in real time, you can see how long it actually takes to pitch this tent when you're not too skilled and training doing it often. I'm doing a lot of thinking while I'm doing this now, and yeah, but I'm also enjoying myself doing this, and this is really the fun part where you can hang the tent onto the poles and it builds up really quick. Actually, if you have this nice weather, as you can see in the frame here, with no rain coming in and just warm weather, you could actually sleep in a tent like this and watch straight up into the sky and spare yourself for the trouble and work of putting up the fly on the tent. But it has actually been forecasted some rain these days, so I'm putting up the whole tent. The plan is to stay in the tents for 3 nights straight. I have now at this point been sleeping in the tent for 2 nights, and it's been a long time since I have had this much good sleep. I have been really stressed out lately because of work especially, so this is kind of an experiment to check if sleeping outside in fresh air is helping on the headaches and bad thoughts, and so far it actually has dampened my tinnitus and stress in the brain a lot. Here I'm pegging down the corners of the tent, and these pointy things sticking out here is actually some kind of openings, holes, or closets, if you will, next to your head in the tent, and that makes it more roomy around your head and not so claustrophobic. And it makes you a really good space to put your things that you need really fast, like your phone or extra clothes during night. Really great design, I think. When I first saw this tent on the website, I thought it looked like a clown, but I actually decided the same day to buy the tent because it was on sale, and I have not regretted it at all. Well, here we are bringing out the fly, the outer cloth of the tent, so to speak, and I'm trying to figure out which way it's going. Okay, here we are catching a little wind, so it's easier to see where the door openings are, and from here we can just throw it over the structure, and it always slips a little, but just hold on to it all the way and this will work really well. Now I'm trying to find these little Velcro straps which you have to put around the poles to make a complete structure and prevent the fly from flying away during wind or something like that. I actually forgot that or didn't see that there are 2 sets of Velcro straps on each corner. So I only fastened the upper ones this time, and after waking up after the first night in tent, I saw that some of the Velcro straps weren't put around the poles, but of course now we're not in any wind, so it's okay. But this is also kind of nice to find out before you're going out on a hike in a more difficult terrain than a flat grass lawn. Okay, so now we're almost around the tent, and since I forgot to fasten the lower set of Velcro straps, we are going into the finish mode. You can see the tent is sticking out a little on the yellow part there, and that's the cross-sectional beam which holds up that closet part of the tent and makes it a little wider in the head end. Okay, checking around if everything is okay, trying to stretch it and making as symmetric as possible, so we don't put any unnecessary tension on the cloth. It's worth marking that you shouldn't tighten this fly too much, especially if it's humid air outside and the fly is some kind of moisture up because of that. Since if you are leaving the tent in warm sun the next day, the fly will dry up even more, and that will put a lot of stress on the fabric and probably break some of the seams, which is not great in the long run. So even though you like a really tight tent and fly, it's nothing more satisfying than that. Don't fasten it too much, and you should probably check the straps several times during the day to ensure that it's optimal for the weather conditions. Okay, now I am pegging down the fly. Some parts of the fly is pegged down through the loopholes, which is in the inner tent, like this corner here, but the wide part you have to use 2 pegs. It's also important that you stretch out the fly from the inner tent so it's not in contact in case of moist and condensation during the night. If it's touching each other, the inner and outer part, you could probably be unlucky and have some rain or condensation drip down in your face or on the equipment as you keep inside the tent. Well, we are now opening the main door on the side I am going to sleep. The tent is totally symmetrical, so you can sleep on both sides, and you have 2 vestibules. It's a 3-person tent, but you will probably not be more than 2 people in this tent, which is ideal for. I'm now getting the sleeping mat, a sin mat from Xbed, and a sleeping bag from Hellsport, which makes up the whole sleeping system. We have a Z-Light pad in the bottom, an inflatable mat in the middle, and a sleeping bag on top. Inside the bag I put on some wool on top and bottom of the body, and that makes it a great night. Thank you for listening and watching this. Have a nice trip. Bye.